Howdy y'all, welcome to Red Oak Farm. Today I'll be showing you how not to put a roof on. I did finally end up finding some used pieces of tin that I can use as a roof on top of the hay feeder that I've been working on. So we're gonna put them up there today, and honestly it just has to be. If it leaks a little bit, I'll address that at a later date. Alright, now that we have everything up on the roof, I don't really have a plan for this. I was never taught how to put roofing on, so I'm just kind of using some common sense here. Now my screws that I have on hand without going to the store, I believe they're only 1.5 inches. They're kind of tiny. So I know on this style roof you're supposed to put it on the top of the ridge, but I'm not going to be able to do that. These screws aren't long enough, and I wasn't able to get to the store to buy longer screws. So when I said if it leaks a little bit, we'll address that at a later date. Anyway, let's get started. One thing I do know about roofing, or at least a trick that I picked up, is in order to get it square so that it all lays right, you kind of want to set your straightness off of the bottom. I'll have to explain a little bit. I don't know the terminology. Like I said, I was never taught how to do any of this, so we're just kind of making it work. So I'm right at 5 inches there, overhang. And we're right at 5 inches on the far side. I'm gonna call that good enough. Let's see if we can't put a couple screws in it. All right. Let's get another piece. And so we got. Now I'm only putting screws on the ends that overlap for the time being. After I get everything set down, then I'll go back and screw everything in. That way it all fits tight. I don't think that one hit anything. Put another one in. That's better. Move you guys down here with me. Alright, so I got one corner in and measured at 5 inches. Now I need to shimmy it over a little bit to get the rest of it square. I need 1/4 inch. Close enough. I'll put another one here to hold it. One last piece for the bottom side, then I'm going to have to find some more metal for the top. I think I can cut a couple pieces to make work, but I may have to go salvaging some more. Alright, I don't know how well y'all can see that, but that piece is a little bent up. And that's okay. It's out on the end, it's out over the edge. I think we could bend it back down with a couple screws and make it work. That's what you get for using used material. Not everything's perfect. Alright, that's not too bad so far. I just have a couple more pieces to put down up top here. I'll call that done. That should keep the hay dry enough for as long as it's going to be in there. I'm sure they'll be eating it right up anyhow. Remember, this is all just to cut down on waste here with hay. You know, at some point we will be bringing in cows, and you know, there are a couple older horses here that we're going to be putting down probably maybe next fall, depending on how they do in the winter. Well, I mean, depending on how they do in the summer. But I know doing roofing like this probably isn't very entertaining, but I guess what I'm trying to do here with our channel is just show that people my age just get out, and if you have a passion for doing this type of thing, where you want cows, you want a homestead, if you got a piece of property that nobody ever taught you what to do with it, just get out there and do it. It doesn't matter if it's wrong. If it works, it works. Nothing ever has to be perfect. This world isn't perfect. We aren't perfect. So if we could build something with our own two hands, save a bunch of money doing it, and it works, just get out there and do it. Alright, now we're ready for the top side. And it's going to end up being just a little bit different. So this piece right here, it's still kind of loose. I have this extra piece here, got some holes in it down here, and so does that one. I'm probably going to be, I'd imagine, one piece short, maybe two. I'm not 100% yet. I'll have to start getting these down, but what my goal is, see these holes here? I'm going to try and set them in a place to where they're on top of the overlap, so the piece underneath catches those holes. So we're going to try and do that the best that we can anyway. If there's a big gaping hole there, I'll just cover it with something. I don't know if I can use maybe Flex Seal in a old pop can, or I'm not really sure what I can use, but I'm sure I'll be able to figure out something. Anyway, let's get started on this top side, try and get this project buttoned up. It's been a little bit too long. So what we're doing, basically the same thing we did on the bottom side. Try and get these squared up as best you can on the top overhang, and then the ribs should line themselves up down towards the bottom. But what you want to do with this type of roofing, and probably many others, is you want to make sure that you're overlapping so that your very top piece runs the water over the underneath pieces. See, like this. See, this piece is over top of this one, and it's over top of this one, and it's over top right there also, so that the water will run all over top and not down in between the pieces of metal, causing a leak. So we're all good there. I think we're ready for a couple screws. I'm just lining them up. Got 2-inch overhang. Yeah. That'll work out just fine. put another screw in here. Like I said, I'm only putting 2 screws in right now. And after everything is down, I'll go back and start putting in lines. All right. Don't worry about that, it'll all be held down with a screw. Like I said, we're only putting 2 screws in for now, just to hold everything down until we get our next piece. I wanted to show y'all what I meant by overlapping and how important it is. You see this little gap starting right here? It's a possibility you can end up with this when you're using used material, especially if it's just stuff that you have laying around. So what we can do, take this piece right here. It's hard to do one-handed. And just line it up as such. So that you don't have that big gaping hole. And see, the water will run down right here and down onto this and run down throughout there now. See? I don't feel roofing is something you should really be intimidated by unless you're doing it for somebody else. And it really needs to be tight. But for a run-in shed, a horse shelter, I don't feel it has to be absolutely perfect. You could almost expect something to leak somewhere because these things get beat up by animals all the time. Anyway, let's get some screws in. Yeah, the shame of it is I'm gonna be 2 pieces short. Ain't that something? Nice and tight. There we go. All right. Now I need a couple more pieces. I'm gonna have to go scavenge around the farm, see if I can find some. All right, so I found 2 more pieces. Let's see if we can't get them down. At least before the sun goes down anyhow. Alright, so the piece that I did find, it's got some holes in it too. But that's okay. We're going to stick it underneath everything and hopefully get it covered up. Like I said, if not, not a big deal. Not a big deal at all, actually. See, these holes up here are from the overhang. So they're not going to go down into the hay. They're just going to fall straight to the ground. So that'll work. Down here, It'll be covered up from the overlay. All right, let's get them screwed back. Let's get them screwed down. Show y'all what we got here at the last piece. So you know those holes we were talking about up top? This piece covered them right up. Same as that one. That one's on the underlay. So the only two pieces that I got to cut off are those two right there, which ain't no big deal. I can reach them from up here. I'd say we're okay. Let me line this up and put some screws down, then we'll lay it all. We'll start running lines of screws and call it a day. I'd say it turned out pretty good, especially for a bunch of used material that's just been laying around the farm. So, all right, I'll put you guys on a time lapse here and you can watch me put some screws down. Alright, so all the screws are in. It's certainly not the most beautiful roof you've ever seen, but you know what? It'll serve its purpose. All the metal's down nice and secure. I'll put all screws in, whole row, all the way up through there. I'll give you guys a look underneath. Alright y'all, now that I got all my tools cleaned up, I figured I'd show you the end product of our little roof here. I cut those pieces off. See how nice that looked down the edge there? It all lines up. Doesn't lay perfect because, well, it's old metal and it was all beat up. Same with the front here. It all lined up fairly well. It ain't perfect, but it has a job to do and it'll do the job just fine. I'm sure the horses will enjoy having nice dry hay to eat. I'll be bedding in there with something different other than hay. And then really, like I said, the only reason why I decided to do this was because we were short on hay and I wanted to try and slow down on some waste. If we have another dry summer, you know, this will absolutely come in handy. This little pasture here is only about an acre. It's not very big, so it's just something they can run around on, stretch their legs. And up top up there, it's about a 3-acre pasture that we fenced in last fall. So that'll be where the majority of the good grass is up there. But here in the next couple of weekends, the weather seems to be just about right for some frost seeding. And we're gonna frost seed all this with the nice forage mix for them. And then our goats have a abundance of hay piled up in the corner of the barn. I'm gonna drag it all out with the manure spreader, and after we frost seed all this, I'm gonna throw all the extra hay down that we have from all the waste, and hopefully to get this to start growing a little bit better. I realize on such a small acreage like this, keeping it growing nice is going to be difficult, but can't hurt to try. Nice little experiment anyway, because I've never done it before. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something, gained a little bit of confidence to get out there and do some work that you've never done before. It's okay if you've never been taught. Just get out there and do it, even if it is wrong. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.